Have you ever had this challenge where you've built a report or a dashboard in Excel and you want to provide a breakdown of some of the values? Unfortunately, in that breakdown, you don't know if there'll be 1 row, 10 row, 100 rows, or maybe more. Therefore, providing that breakdown is going to break your report. Now, there is one way that we can get around this, and that is pagination, where we provide a section of the report and users can then look at the different pages to see all of the information. But how do we create this in Excel? Well, that's what we're going to find out in this video. So if you're ready, let's get started. Here is our example file, and if you want to work along with this video, just follow the links in the video description box below to get hold of this file. Our file has 3 main sections. It has the report section, where we will create our pagination. We then have the workings section. This is all of the calculations we need to achieve the pagination. And finally, we have our data section. This contains all of the data that we want to see in our pagination. We have a column for the date, the product, the description, the value, and also a supplier code. And that is our example file. Now, I have included everything on one worksheet, just because it's easier to demonstrate. In the real world, you would likely have each section on a separate sheet. So now let's go and see how we can build pagination for our data, and make sure you get the example file to work along. We're going to start by building out the workings section. This contains all of the calculations we need to return our result. We're going to start by filtering our data based on our start date and end date. To do that, I'll select cell M7, and in there I'll type equals filter open bracket. For the array argument, we want our entire table, and we want to filter that based on the 2 conditions of the start date and the end date. So for our first condition, I'll enter a bracket, and we want that where our date is greater than or equal to our start date. I'll close that first condition. We want our second condition, which is an AND condition, so I need to multiply, opening bracket, where our date is less than or equal to our end date. That will now, when we calculate, give us the data that we need. But what happens if we select dates that don't contain any values? In that scenario, we still want to return something into these cells. So let's edit our formula, and we're going to use our last argument of if empty. In there, we're going to use the hstack function. This will give us the ability to return a single value for each column. For our date column, let's return the word none. Then we come to the product column. Let's enter an empty text string, and also for the description column, an empty text string. Then we come to the value column. Let's return 0. And finally, for the supplier code column, we also want an empty text string. I'm now going to close the hstack and close the filter. When we calculate, we don't get any visible difference, but if we change our values to show March, as you can see, we now get a single result of none, which has a value of 0. So that's our first step, to get the values that we want to see in our pagination. Now let's build out the remainder of our workings. We're going to start with the row count. In cell I7, I'll type equals rows, and we're going to select cell M7. I'll press hash to get the entire spill range. I'll close that bracket and calculate. It tells us that we have 89 rows in our dataset. I can now create a sequence from 1 to 89 so that we have a row number for each value in filter. In cell K7, I'll type equals sequence, opening bracket, and we want the value from I7. I'll close that and calculate. That now gives us numbers for each row. And as we scroll down, you can see that we have 89 rows in the output of our filter. The next item we want is our page size. Now this is going to be a hard-coded number. For this example, I'm going to use 15, but you could use whatever page size works for you. Next, we want to calculate the maximum number of pages that we will need. I'll type equals, and we're going to use round up. Opening bracket, And we want to calculate that based on the row count divided by the page size. And we want to round that up to the closest 0 digits. So when that calculates, we get 6 pages. So a row count of 89 is 6 pages. Next, we want to calculate the first position number. This means that if we're on page 1, it will return 1. But if we're on page 2, because the page size is 15, our first position number should be 16. In there, I'm going to type equals, and we want to select the cell that contains the page number that we will enter. And we're going to -1. I need to add brackets around this, so I will add those. And then we want to do that, and we want to multiply that by the page 15, and then we want to add 1. So when that calculates, let's add page 1 into the cell. You can see that if we're on page 1, the first position number is 1. If we're on page 2, the first position number is 16. We also need to calculate the last position number. I'm going to take my first position plus my page size, and we also want to -1. That means that if we're on page 2, we're going to look at rows 16 to 30. Finally, we want to calculate the page numbers. We're going to use these in a drop-down so that we can easily select from a list based on how many pages we have. To create those page numbers, I'll type equals sequence, opening bracket, and we want a sequence just based on the maximum number of pages. I'll close that bracket and calculate. We have 6 pages, and now we have the page numbers of 1 to 6. Let's add these as a data validation list. I'll select cell E3, go to data, data validation list. We want a list based on cell I13 hash. I'll click OK. That means that we now have the numbers from 1 to 6 for us to select from. Let's also give an indication of how many pages there are. So in cell F3, I'll type equals, opening double quote, of, space, closing double quote, and then I'll enter an ampersand and select the value from cell I9. When that calculates, I'm now looking at page 1 of 6, or page 4 of 6. This now gives us all of the workings we need, which means we're now ready to start building our pagination. The first step of returning the pagination is to calculate the brought forward value. This is the total value from all of the previous pages. To do this, I'm going to select cell E7, and we're going to start by filtering our existing filtered table. Equals filter, opening bracket. The array that we want to filter is going to be based on cell M7, and we want hash to get the entire spill range. But we don't want the entire spill range. We only want the 4th column. So let's come back and edit our formula to include choose cols, opening bracket, on M7, and we want column 4. That means we're only getting the value column. And we want to filter these values based on where our row index, I'll press hash, where that is less than our first position number. Our first position is currently 46. That means that this will return all of the values in position 45 and before. Now, what happens if we are currently on page 1? Therefore, there aren't any values which are less than our first position number. So in that scenario, we want to return 0 as the result. I'll now close our filter function. We then want to sum all of these results. So when that calculates, it gives us all of the values which are in position 45 and before. So that now gives us our brought forward values. We're now ready to start listing out the individual transactions. I'm going to select cell B8, and in there we're going to use the filter function again, equals filter, opening bracket. We want to filter all of our values from M7 hash, and we want to filter those based on the row index. So we want those, opening bracket, where our row index, which is K7 hash, we want that where it's greater than or equal to our first position number, close bracket, and multiply for an AND condition. The next opening bracket, where that same row index of K7 hash, where that is less than or equal to our last position. I'll close that bracket. We then, once again, want to return a value if there is nothing to return. And I'm going to use hstack for this once more. First of all, we have our date column. Let's add nothing. Then we have the product column. Let's enter none in square brackets. After that, we have the description column, which will be another empty text string. And then we have the value column, which I'll enter 0. And finally, we have the supplier code, which will be another empty text string. I'll then close the hstack and close the filter. When we calculate that, we get our list of just the 20 rows that we need. Now, what happens if we happen to be on a section that doesn't return any pages? In that scenario, it just returns none and gives us the value of 0. But we're not finished yet. We've got our brought forward and we've got our individual rows. We now need to calculate the carried forward, or if it's the last page, it should display total so that we know that we have all of the values. If I look at my YouTube stats, it appears the majority of people watching this video are not subscribers. Well, the good news is that together we can solve this problem. So if you're not already a subscriber, click the button below and subscribe, and make sure you get notifications so you don't miss any of our future videos. And who knows where this chart might end up. So let's edit our formula, and we're going to use the let function. Let, opening bracket. I'll add that at the start. Let allows us to assign names to calculations, which we can then reuse later in the same formula. For this filter, I'm going to call that array. That's our first name. So our filter result is called array. At the end, I'll add a comma and then create another new row. The second name we want to create is total. This will be the total row at the bottom. Let's use hstack for this. Hstack, opening bracket. For our first column, we want to return an empty text string for the date. Then for the second column, if this isn't the last page, we want to have the text of carried forward. If it is the last page, we want to include the text of total. Therefore, we're going to use an if function. If the value in cell E3, if that is greater than or equal to the value in cell I9, so that's our page number. If that's true, we want to return total. If not, we want to return carried forward. That means that depending on which page number we're on, we will get different text values. We then come to the description column. In there, we want an empty text string. Then we come to the value column. We want the value column to give us our brought forward and also the sum of our 20 values. To do that, we use sum, opening bracket. Our first value is going to be our brought forward in cell E7. And then we want to get the fourth column from our array calculation. We use choose cols on our array, and we want column 4. I'll then close the choose cols and close the sum. Finally, we come to the supplier code. In that scenario, we want to return an empty text string. I will now close the hstack. Let's just output both of those values so we can see what we get. I'm going to enter array as the last argument inside let. When we provide that, we get our 20 rows. When we output our total, we now get the word carried forward and the value which represents the brought forward and the individual values that will appear. So our final stage is going to be called result, and we want to stack using vstack, and we're going to stack our array and our total. Let's output that using result. We now get our brought forward, our individual values, and then our carried forward. What happens if we go to page 6? As you can see, this now changes to the word total, and we get the total of all of those values. If we change to page 5, you'll notice that our total row moves because we don't have 15 values on our last page. One additional thing that we might like to do here is to add a top border and make the font bold on the last row, which would either be the carried forward or the total row. So I'm going to select my range of values which these cells could occupy. We'll then go to conditional formatting and new rule. We're going to base this on a formula. We want to check in cell C8, but the entire row. So we're going to type equals, opening bracket, where $C8, so that means we're always looking at column C, but we're looking down each individual row. We want to know where that equals total, or, so we're going to use an or condition, therefore we want plus, where $C8 is equal to carried forward. If either of those are true, we're now going to format these cells. I'll click Format. We want a top border, and we want our font to be bold. Then click OK and OK again. We now have our formatting on our cell. Let's see what happens if we change to a different pagination. The description of the bottom row changes to the correct description, and the formatting now moves correctly. And that is how we can create pagination inside Excel. We can take this approach anytime we have a report or dashboard where we have restricted space, because we know exactly how many rows and columns we need for our output. It doesn't matter how many rows there are in the original data. What do you think about this technique? Let me know in the comments. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you next time.